A lot of things have happened since we've talked last. This is Bengals on the Brain. I'm Joe Goodberry. We didn't have a show last week, obviously, after the events that took place on Monday Night Football with Damar Hamlin. And glad to see he's back in Buffalo and everything is good now with him, or at least on the right path. Never out of the woods completely, I guess, until we see him back on the field in the future. But that game was canceled, obviously, and we didn't do a show, so we just kind of moved on. It's funny. I thought about maybe I'll preview the Ravens week instead, and then as the playoff scenarios became pretty clear, I thought, well, we're probably doing that this week. We're probably reviewing the Ravens while previewing them at the same time for the wild card matchup, getting them back-to-back weeks. I'm with a lot of people on this. I don't like playing a division opponent the third time. I think we've got some bad playoff memories of playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. None of them turned out well, not just from the win-loss standpoint, just from the chippiness, dirtiness, hard hits, just AFC North ugliness. And then playing back-to-back weeks. So remember that Jets game where the Bengals just went out there and did not care, that week 17, and then showed up, or the Jets, they went back to Cincinnati, and the Jets just steamrolled them. They just couldn't figure out a way to turn the light switch on again. That's why I think the Bengals wanted to play hard this game, especially after everything that happened with the coin flip and not being even with those rules throughout the league and throughout the AFC playoff contenders. And then you get the Ravens who vote for that coin flip that could potentially benefit them. And then you see their inactive list and you go, are they even trying to win this game? Or are they just trying to ruffle the Bengals a little bit, be a little hard on them, play a little bully ball, a little AFC North ugly ball, if you will. And watching the film, they definitely were. I see why the complaints were there after the game. Harbaugh's out of his mind if he thinks millions of people are watching it and nobody else thinks it. It's just the Bengals. No. You watch that game, you're going to see a lot. I posted a lot of things on Twitter as well. And it was just really a small sample of what they were doing. I had the feeling while watching the game that they were being a little bit extra, the Ravens. Watching the film, it was even worse. So I think the Bengals are going to be upset about it. I think they're going to be, maybe that light switch will hit. And the Ravens, like their defense, especially fans on Twitter, it's AFC North football. And that's why I've said that a few times. They're right. Don't think that the Bengals can't be physical. That's the thing. Teams have underestimated them for a long time. I just think the Bengals were kind of just off a little bit. You saw them the missed throws, some missed timing and blocks, especially some from receivers, tight ends, and just off a little bit and not fully going 100 miles an hour. They can, and I expect they will, and that should be interesting. But, keep an eye on Roquan Smith to see if he's still going out to try and cause some trouble. But in this show, we are going to review what happened. Even though I'm not sure the Ravens were going 110%, they did show a lot on defense. The Bengals had some counters that I thought were pretty bland. I don't think they had a vanilla playbook because I said during that Bucs review of Bengals on the Brain that the Bengals are going to come back to this shot play. And they did in this game. So you think you would have saved that for the real matchup in the playoffs if you believed you could beat them with it and you were setting it up in previous films. But the Bengals did show it. And I want to start with that. We're going to hit that. Then we're going to show some of the plays that didn't work and why they work and why they're in the playbook. And then we're going to look at the biggest loss of this game going into the playoffs was losing Alex Cappa at right guard and how they'll replace him with Max Sharping and go forward with Sharping and Adeniji so quick to go from feeling good about that right side, or at least better as the season went on, to got questions again, just like last year. They're going to have to figure it out, and they've proven they've done it before, but it's going to be a challenge. But first, we're going to start with the positive. The shot play I thought they were going to set up, we finally got to see it. If you're a watcher of the show, you remember a couple weeks ago when I said, I think the Bengals are setting up a nice shot play here. They've thrown that dig to Tee Higgins. They've thrown the flat to Joe Mixon, and I think they were waiting for a split safety coverage in order to hit this again. And I said at the time, it looked odd how he took an extra hitch in his throw there and then checked it down. And I was expecting them to come back to this in short time. Well, they did. That deep post that you saw where the ball looked underthrown, that was the exact same play. And
Jamar Chase was open. And I think, honestly, the timing is just off on this. I also think the pressure up his face, up Joe Burrow's face, right up the middle, obviously will have an effect if you can't step into the ball. This is about all arm, and he's giving it everything he's got there, about 50 yards or so and some change. If you watch it again, though, I think that right here, you could probably let it go. Chase is going to beat that safety. It's not going to change. Those guys are running with him. And they've got like an extra hitch in there and then the throw. There was an extra hitch on the one versus the Bucs as well. So the drop kind of looked the same. The defensive tackles really aren't reading a run here despite play action. The linebackers are freezing, but the D tackles, man, they're just starting a bull rush. At least one is on each play. And so they burned it. Didn't work. Probably could have ended the game early.
So yeah, wanted to show it. Kind of be like, I told you so. No, not really. But it was a big play that almost was there. Burrow had an off day. The offensive line had issues, as they have had forever now. But Burrow missed some throws that were there. I wouldn't even classify this one as like on him, but I think we're gonna see one soon. There's a couple throws he missed, especially the one to Higgins down the side. I think he missed Chase on a curl corner, cover 2 early. I want to say it was the first drive. Maybe it was the second. It was early in the game. Heading towards that end zone. Missed him on there, and that wasn't a throw. That was a missed read and check down. Missed Boyd up the seam. Missed a couple out routes that he almost never misses. So he was just off a little bit. Timing was off. Accuracy was off. It was interesting to see that. The Ravens were actually, and I didn't even do this, I should have done a whole thing of what they were doing in coverage, but I kind of let people on Twitter dictate what the show was going to be about because they were giving me feedback on what they wanted to see. But I've showed this before. When you're showing two safeties pre-snaps, let's say these are the safeties, two safeties pre-snap, it's middle of the field open, you can, or they're going to rotate, and they're going to put middle of the field closed, and you're going to throw it to the boundary. Well, the Ravens were doing this, where it's like you've got a safety help over top, and now you've got middle of the field closed, and they're leaving one-on-one just on one side. So if you can decipher it real fast and figure out what's going on, you could take your shot. If there's no shot there and they're locking that guy up one-on-one, pretty much going to have everything covered. So I thought the Ravens may have a vanilla plan and just try to be ultra physical and get the Bengals to bend that way. Instead, they actually were given some confusing looks and trying to mix it up and sending blitzes and then backing out, showing cover 0, and then dropping everyone into coverage. So seeing that 2 weeks in a row, I think Burrow will be ready for it, especially after the first 2 drives. I thought he started seeing it pretty clearly after that. It wasn't until they got in that weird mix of let's score one more time and just bench our guys, rest them, that they kind of pressed a little bit and they started missing throws and missing plays and missing opportunities and failing on third down. But one of the failures on third down, two big misses in this next segment here. The wide receiver screens, why do they run it so much? Why do they do it? Why is it a function? Never works, people said. But remember, at the end of the Chiefs game, Jamar Chase did get a first down off a wide receiver screen. But there's a couple plays in here you guys probably remember, and it's why I wanted to bring them up and show them.
The wide receiver screens, something the Bengals use a lot because of so much off coverage they've been getting lately as teams are defending from the deep balls. You just see here, Hayden Hurst misses his block on the outside versus the corner. Jamar Chase takes a shot to the thigh. You see how upset Hurst is. He knows what happened here. The Bengals thought they had an easy, quick play with how far off the coverage was. Ended up being a loss of a couple yards here, and they're going to keep going with it. Anytime you see these corners start backing off pre-snap, I think the Bengals must have a check in here that the Ravens know, and they're going to crash down on it. So the Bengals quickly turn into a screen, a wide receiver screen, and if these receivers can't block for them, the other receivers, it's going to be hard for it to work. And I think that's part of the issue is if it's a check, everyone's got to be on the same page, and everyone's got to be able to get out there. So on the left side, it's going to be Hurst, and I want to say Trent Taylor, and neither guy gets out in front of his guy, gets in front of his defender. The Ravens are crashing super hard down on the screen, and the Bengals are, going to get caught sometimes. And right here, the Ravens show a cover 0 with a blitz. So it means you just got man coverage across, and we're going to bring everyone. And this is a third down play. And you hear Burrow say, like, Ratbird 0, something along those lines, which is going to be a screen to Jamar Chase, and you just need Tyler Boyd to block the outside corner. So if everyone blitzes and you get that one block, you can spring Chase for not just a first down, a big play. But Kyle Hamilton does not blitz. He does a really good job selling it, showing that he's going to blitz, backing out, running directly for the screen like he knew what the play was going to be, and going to make a hit on Jamar Chase in the backfield here. They blew it up. The Ravens knew what they were doing. They knew what Burrow would check to, and they did it. Now you get a little orbit motion with Jamar Chase in the backfield. We got another screen to Jamar Chase. No, the Bengals are going to release both guys upfield for a shot play. Man, they brought Higgins and Boyd deep. Burrow just misses them. I think Boyd goes, so you see these fake screens sometimes, and only one guy goes deep. I think both go deep to hold the safety in the middle of the field a little bit, and it works there. So I really like the idea, the added twist there to get it to work. It sucks that this didn't work. And I also think, like I said about the previous play, weird that they would show it or unleash it here. But don't worry, it wasn't all bad. The next play was a deep shot to Jamar Chase where he can moss a guy, and we haven't seen that in a while. Nice to see again.
So I think it's the screens and the checkdowns as a whole. I think we've gone over those a few times this year, but the wide receiver screens built in could be a check based on getting off coverage. I think a lot of them are. I think especially they haven't built into RPOs and run plays. So I think sometimes that may get confusing. It's an extension of the run game, in my opinion. And they usually go to Jamar Chase. It'd be nice, I think, if we got those to a couple other players. Maybe that would mix it up enough to get defenses off of them. But overall, I think they're going to continue. I saw people saying they shouldn't run these screens, throw away the part of the playbook with the wide receiver screens. I think you need to have them. I think that's the only way to get the corners to come up and press a little bit and show that you'll give them chances for yards after the catch and make the safety come screaming down maybe a little bit harder. And then you see the shot play off of it. Now you can only run that, and maybe you can run it more, but you only see teams run that once or twice a year. It's actually gotten more popular. You almost never used to see a fake screen at all, but I think now you can do it. But overall, it's here to stay. We're going to have to see now if there are more screens with the offensive line having issues or going into depth a little bit further than I think we had hoped at this point in the year. We hoped, just 3 weeks ago they were pretty healthy, and it stinks now to have two backups playing at right guard and right tackle. How's that working out? How will it work out? How long is Alex Cappa out for? We don't know. He's on a scooter. It looked like his knee got shredded. Man, it did not, apparently, and it was just his ankle. Good for him. Does that mean Zach Taylor said it was going to be tough for him this week? They don't know for sure yet, though. Does that mean he's not out for the playoffs? Is it not a super severe ankle sprain? Or I'm not even going to speculate. I shouldn't. We should just wait to see what comes out. Probably news will come out by the time this is aired. So let's look at the final few drives that the Bengals were just trying to chew the clock a little bit and keep it going, just get out of there alive. Max Sharping came in. He's a guy that has a 97.5 pass block efficiency rating. This may not mean anything to you, but on Pro Football Focus. But Alex Cappa coming into the year was the same, about a 97.5. He has a 98 and some changes this year. Kappa's been really good, especially in pass protection. So they might lose something, but coming into the year, in terms of pass protection, I would have said they were pretty close. And I don't think you're going to get the run game blocking, so it's another hit to the run game. With Max Sharping, he's just a little bit taller and longer. Those guys are tougher inside to gain leverage and really dig guys out and push them at the point of attack. So let's see how they did. Let's review the film real quick. There's not much to look at here, but there's a few guys other than Sharping that I think you saw a cascading effect of mistakes start to happen as you now replace one piece, two pieces, and then the extra offensive lineman, the jumbo package guy. We're starting to see more dysfunction on that side.
The offensive line lost a little bit of stability when right guard Alex Cappa went down. Here's the play right here. And yeah, we don't want to look at it too bad. It looks like it's not a season-ending injury the way we thought, or at least a severe knee injury. But Cordell Volson's looking for some work, knocks Calais Campbell into the leg, ankle rolls for 65, Alex Cappa. And it's Max Sharping, veteran. He used to play for the Texans, stepping in at right guard, number 74. He doesn't really have a lot to do right here. I just wanted to show his first snap. So this is the very next snap. We're going to go in chronological order of when Alex Cappa left the game. I'll replay this for you real fast, and we'll see the left side is the issue here. Mostly Cordell Volson going against Odafe Owe. Just gets beat on that swim move, can't handle the much more athletic edge rusher that kicked inside. The next change on the depth chart is Jackson Carman now is your extra offensive lineman there on the right side, number 79. And he's a physical run blocker. We saw that, and he's doing that here. But if you watch Adeniji and then Jonah Williams right and then the left right there, they both lose their blocks. The first makes the running back cut to the left side, and then Jonah Williams is getting beat. We're back to Max Sharping at the right guard here. We only got one other pass protection play. That was it right there. So we didn't get to see enough of it. The Bengals are really running out the clock to finish this game now on the second drive that he's in there. This is that 4th and 1. And if you watch, they got two guys to block, and this is Sharping and Adeniji. And Adeniji goes inside and just doesn't even try to get 97, and that's what kills the play. They had a nice play drawn up. I think it actually went to Jamar Chase for an end zone shot at least. Going to some outside zone stuff to finish off this game, and this is a big run, but it's holding. If you watch the hole that Samaje Perine hits, it's Hakeem Adeniji on the outside here as the guy breaks to the outside. Adeniji has his arm at his shoulder and his armpit and just takes him down. That's pretty much going to get called every time. You've got to stay with him and stay square and try and push him out of there if you can. A run block here where he's going to down block and Volson's going to pull behind him. I think this would have worked. You have 6 defenders, though, so there's someone unblocked. I just don't think it was going to work there. That defender made a really good play to knife in and get the stop. And this, I think Tee Higgins probably should have got inside a little quicker and block that safety. We've seen that before when the Bengals hit that deep shot to Trenton Irwin, how aggressive you've got to be coming downhill to make this block. So a whole host of errors here as each guy takes their turn and making mistakes. I wanted to shout out real fast, Ted Karras does get a nice combo block here and double pancake, if you will, as the run only goes for a couple yards. But I did appreciate that out of Karras, even though he gave a lot of credit to Alex Cappa this year. I think, Karras now at this point has probably been their best offensive lineman all season, or maybe the best that's remaining. Still, I think he's up there. Either way, we're going to continue. We got a couple more plays here as the Bengals are trying to finish out the clock and run it dry. And going heavy again, Jackson Carman is the extra guy. They get no push on the right side here between Adeniji and Sharpen.
And that'll do it for this week's episode of Bengals on the Brain. I am Joe Goodberry. You can follow me, same name, at Joe Goodberry on Twitter, where there's a bunch more clips and discussion taking place, some trash talking, some weirdness going on with other Ravens fans, and a video where I sat in my car and yelled at my phone for a little bit about playoff scenarios and coin flips, if you're into that sort of thing. I think some people were. But that's it for this week's episode. Hopefully we're talking next week about a win in an AFC North playoff battle, which seemed to be weird and physical and every single time, and not just the Bengals games. I can remember those Steelers-Ravens games as well in previous years. We'll see how it goes. I'm confident, but, the film made me more confident that the Bengals will, function at a higher level, but more worried about the Ravens and having a screw loose. We've been there. We've had guys like that. We've been that team before. When you get that underdog mentality and you got some guys that just don't care, it's scary for the other team. When you have higher aspirations, when you're looking past them already, or you feel like you got the franchise guy, we don't trust it. As Bengals fans, we don't trust it. We've had our quarterbacks taken out in playoff games. We've had Giovanni Bernard taken out in playoff games. That a lot of craziness happen. We're defensive. I wonder how the team feels. I wonder if they're focused because of everything that happened that the Ravens are denying, but that anyone could see. So anyways, till next time, we'll see you next week, guys.